This year we saw the effects of natural disasters in Bulgaria. From floods to hurricanes, preparation was weak because people weren't expecting such radical effects, but our ignorance led to this. They were devastating for both the environment and the people. Economies are in ruin, soil is destroyed, and humanitarian operations need to be established. But what are the causes for such effects? Firstly, climate change. Generally, global warming causes more drastic weather effects, but in different areas we see different risks for serious climate disasters. For example, areas like Razgrad and Silistra experienced strong winds and rainfall last month, which led to serious property damage. If you look at both the elevation and precipitation map, the areas with the highest amount are, as expected, mountainous regions. But for areas with low elevation, the highest amount of rainfall are the northern parts of Bulgaria, like the ones previously mentioned, Razgrad and Silistra. Last month, these regions were hit the worst by the storm Kurun. Small villages with difficult to travel roads to the main cities and the cities themselves experienced strong winds and heavy rainfall that destroyed roofs, blocked streets, and effort was halted. In the village of Lovino, near Razgrad, 100 of the houses were left without roofs. Although rain is common here, periodic cycles of storm with the addition of climate change made a typical storm one of the most terrifying weather events of these areas. This led to the casualties and property damage that with no insurance won't be recovered. The other reason that is unique to Bulgaria is bad maintenance, corruption and human ignorance. The siphoning of money from the budget of a county to a group of people lead to degradation of public property, such as streets, institutions and extraction systems. This is what led to the flooding of Tsarevo. Looking at the climate map, Tsarevo has a coastal climate quite similar to that of the Mediterranean. It's not used to serious rain or even flooding, and the precipitation map confirms that. But in a cycle of a given amount of years, more than 100 years to be exact, Bulgaria's coast experiences heavy rain above 200 millimeters. Although statistically this amount of rain should be uncommon, they've happened 3 other times in the area of Tsarevo in the last 30 years. So relying on the statistic to say that preparation should be ignored because these floods happen once a century is foolish. A reason for the common occurrence of fatal floods in the area could be the anthropogenic factor, or in other words, corruption. Proper drainage systems were ignored in favor of giving land for infrastructure, in turn blocking the drains and ravines that should move the water away from the streets. The mayor who authorized these land developments is publicly known to ignore public property in favor of profit, which leads to the land, or more specifically the drainage system he has to look after, to be destroyed and be unchecked. Nobody looked to see if the drains were up to the standard and whether they were blocked, because they both weren't expecting such heavy rain in a dry area of Bulgaria, but also because of the incompetence of the people in the town hall that intentionally blocked ravines and drains so that they give out more land. Okay, you heard the problems. Now what are the solutions? First, we will offer insurance in case of a natural disaster like the ones mentioned, but also others like forest fires, tornadoes and earthquakes to cities which you've paid us to insure. This way, if the blow was already hit, we will help by using the money that we've accumulated, invested for a profit and gave out to support a certain region. If you're worried about the investment part, this is to cover the loss of money if it is held because of inflation and the paying of the workers of the insurance firm. We will use a small portion of the money to invest in only AAA stocks. We will publish our earnings every quarter of the year. Second, climate prevention systems. This is the part where we take a more active role even before a disaster could happen. We'll make systems that properly control a disaster and make it have the least damage when it happens. Think of it like what home security does. They don't just offer to find a burglar after he is in your house, they will typically help you put better locks, doors and gates in case of a burglar. This is what our job will be as an extension of the government. If you give us money, we will employ professionals to look out for faults in how a city is structured. After all, we're saving money by stopping easily preventable disasters by just sending professionals to give advice instead of wasting tons of money afterwards. They will give suggestions and build plans that the city can employ so that they don't have the problem of Tsarevo. You will get access to our construction plans in a given city if you're curious to see what efforts we put to stop disasters. To conclude, how would this help? Well, first, with such strategies becoming more and more common, we'll help the economic sector of the cities recover quicker after a disaster instead of economically stagnating like Haiti, because they choose not to make buildings less structurally sound and slowed humanitarian effort due to insufficient funds that were stolen. The environment will also recover quicker from the contaminated water, from floods or the flying debris that damage the soil, because these problems will be controlled by, for example, making buildings withstand heavier winds or making proper drains. Thank you for the attention. Please invest now.